The Maroons in Jamaica did the same. They still have their own town, kinda like Native Americans, called Akampong Town, and their chief is Richard Curry. They have their own laws, language, food, etc. Very interesting. A lot of people don't realize that many of the so-called Maroons weren't just escaped Africans. They were actually dark-skinned indigenous people who had been enslaved and reclassified as African in colonial records just because of how they looked. How do you think they knew where to go? The swamps weren't some mysterious place. They were returning to land they already knew. They knew the terrain, the water routes, the plants, and how to survive because it was their home. Yes, some Maroons were African, and they often formed alliances with these indigenous people who had been enslaved alongside them. And let's be real, if a dark-skinned indigenous person was enslaved, they likely worked side by side with African captives, so they would have known each other and helped each other escape. Some of the people being called African were indigenous all along. History didn't forget them, it reclassified them. We're still here. They say that because the colonizers have done a great job at erasing and keeping our history from us of how we resisted and fought. They just wanted us to believe we just went with the BS, and the ones of us who didn't were unalived by government. But we resisted a lot more than people realize. Every single slave-holding state had large Maroon communities of free Black Americans. Every single one. The United States had the largest collective Maroon community in the world during the slavery era. Our history is so important and impactful that they try to erase it. African Americans are like a microcosm of the larger Black diaspora. So many of the stories you find in Latin America and the Caribbean also exist in our history, just on a smaller scale. In Jamaica, we had Maroons in our mountains. We learned this is school the way Americans learn about the American Revolution. Prideful resistance driven by resilience and the right to freedom and justice.